I'm going to talk about how to do the space meditation, what it is, what it is not. What is space meditation? In Zen Buddhism, it's really a combination of all Buddhist teachings, but in practice. So everything Buddhism wants you to do, everything Hindu, recognizing that you are not your thoughts and you are not your body. It's so simple that the mind cannot grasp it. So that is what Zen teaching is. Now, what does it do? It takes you to a state of total peace, but beyond peace, to bliss and unity with the universe. You don't know if you're an individual or if you're the universe, because both of them are together as one. Here's some blocks that's going to happen to you doing space meditation. First of all, you have to understand that your mind cannot comprehend space. So the first mistake people make is they try to use their mind to understand space. So if I tell you to focus on space, your mind says, well, what am I focusing on? You're not focused on anything. That's the thing. When you focus on space, the mind tries to make space into something. It's not something. It's not a thing. So when your mind tries to see where it is so it can pay attention to it, it can't. So then you end up saying things like, this doesn't make sense. I don't know why I'm doing it. What's the point? I can't do it correctly. That's all mental chatter. So what is the space meditation? What you do is you sit still, you focus on your breathing in and out, and then after you focus on 10 or so deep in and out breaths, the next thing you do is just focus on the space between thoughts, around objects, and listen to your mind talk. Don't interrupt it. Don't get involved. Just listen to your mind. That's all you're doing. Your mind is going to talk. Your mind is going to chatter. Your mind is going to blah, 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 blah. The whole goal is to observe your mind. That's it. It's not to quiet your mind. It's not to figure it out. It's not to solve a problem. Just observe the activity of the mind. You're going to realize that it go all over the place. So that's the first thing. You have to understand, you cannot understand a space meditation. You can't understand it. There is nothing there to understand. The mind cannot grasp it, and that's the point. If you're going to go beyond the mind, which is the source of your problems, you cannot solve the problems of the mind at the level of the mind. You have to go beyond the mind, and that's the whole point of Zen Buddhism and Zen space meditation. So how do you do it? That's another misnomer, is that you can do meditation. Being meditative is a state of awareness, not something you do. So if I say, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to sit down, close my eyes, and do a meditation. I'm trying. That is the antithesis of space meditation. So being in a meditative state is really the goal. How do you get into a meditative state? You become the observer of the body, its urges, and the mind and its urges. That's it. The mind is going to say, that's too simple. I need something to do. No, you don't. Your mind is saying that. Here's another thing. After you get up from the mat or from the seat that you're sitting on doing space meditation, you should do it for about 10 minutes. I mean, sit down, close your eyes, focus on 10 deep breaths. After the 10 breaths, just observe the mind, of the space between the thoughts. That's it. There is no quote unquote point to it. That's the reason that we're doing a meditation in the first place, because your mind is overly active and you're addicted to thinking. You can't stop thinking. You're compulsively thinking. You're not capable of not thinking. That's what we're trying to stop, because thoughts are the problem. You're identified with them. You're identified with your mind, and you don't know the difference between you and your mind. The part of you that thinks is different than the part of you that observes the thinker. They're two different parts. One is spacious and aware. The other one is thinking. Those are the two. So you're making a separation by observing the mind, and you are no longer the mind if you observe it. So this is what you're doing in the space meditation. Now, a couple things are going to happen in the meditation. Your mind is going to drift off. Great. If you're aware your mind just drifted off, you are no longer the mind that's drifting. You are observing the mind drifting. Success. If you catch yourself thinking about what you're going to do later on today, or some problem from the past, or asking questions, what am I doing? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? And you catch yourself thinking these thoughts. Great. You are aware your mind is chattering. Good. That's the whole point. The goal of the meditation is to just be aware. Now, if you ask how to do it, your mind is trying to overcomplicate the process. It's simple. You're simply observing. You're not ignoring thoughts that come up. You're not saying they're not there, thoughts are not there. That's not what you're doing. Your mind is talkative. Your mind is chattering. Your mind is producing thoughts. You cannot stop that, or the goal is not to stop that at all. Just observe the fact your mind is chattering. That's it. There's nothing else to that. It's as simple as it gets. Your mind is going to want to ask more questions like, well, what about? It's irrelevant because that's also mental chatter. The whole goal of this meditation is to finally create space between the one who can observe the mind and the mind itself. You think you are the mind. You think you're your thoughts, and therefore you get caught in the thoughts drama of trying to be relevant and trying to be important. So the mind is going to want to take you away from space. Why? Because space is the end of the mind. When you actually sit and just be, and you realize you are not the mind loses the host it was using to exist. You are the host that the mind is using to be itself, to have existence, to move and have its being in the world. So what do I mean by that? You have a story you tell yourself. Sometimes the story can sound like, well, this always happens to me. I don't know why this always happens to me. That story line has characters that come in and out. It has situations and events that are attached to it. So that's what you have. You have that happening. That's not who you are. That's a narrative you've identified with. That's the mind chattering and crafting and threading stories together. It has nothing to do with who you are. You're the one observing the mind threading stories together. But the problem is you get caught in the drama. You got an idea and a thread in your mind that you're successful and you're great. So you thread a story in your mind that says, I'm so great. I love doing the business. I'm better at business than everybody else. I love this. You just talking and talking and talking. Who's talking? The mind is talking. The one who thinks it's a business person, the one that thinks it's a marketer, the one that thinks it's fill in the blank, the one that thinks it's something is threading the story. If you observe the mind doing this, you are no longer the story. Now, that's scary for some people and it's liberating for some people. If it's scary to you that you're not that story, you're scared of being nobody, which is ego afraid of death. If it liberates you, you probably relieve the fact that you're not these negative thoughts that keep rotating in your mind. Either way, it's just the ego's reaction to being about to die, moving into death, which is moving into annihilation. When you become aware that you are not the thinker, which is all space meditation is, it's actually observation. Sit there and observe and don't think about what you're thinking about. Just observe the thoughts with no judgment, without trying to make it different, without denying the thoughts like they're not there, without losing yourself in the thoughts. Just observe the activity of the mind. Sit there with a timer for 10 minutes, and when the 10 minutes is over, get up. Now you got an opportunity after this. When you open your eyes, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna beat yourself up. You're gonna say you did it wrong. You're gonna say that was a waste of time. Guess who's saying that? The mind is saying that. That's not you again. So you got another opportunity throughout the day to just watch your mind take you away. That's what's happening. Your mind is just taking you away without your permission, because you lose yourself in the thoughts. The thoughts seem so important that you have to say them, that you have to think about it. You have to think about the problem. You have to think about who's betraying you. You have to think about your position at work. You have to think about your clients. You have to think about the kids. You have to think about your wife. You have to think about your husband. You have to. You have to. All those thoughts are just thoughts, and you think you have to think those. That's what's stressing you out. That's what's zapping your brain. That's what makes you overwhelmed. You can't be overwhelmed if you know you are not those thoughts. You just see the mind playing a game. You see the mind doing tricks and flips. You see the mind being so serious about itself. And so you back up from the thoughts because that's not who you are. This is what space meditation is. It is observing. Now, a practical way to do that, words are just words, they do not teach. Okay, so words are insufficient for this process. But the way you do it is, there are spaces between the words I'm speaking right now. I made it obvious that that was space so that you could observe. Now, in that gap, if you had a couple words of chatter come through your mind, that is your overactive mind. When is the next words coming out? Why did he stop talking? Why wouldn't he say something again? Like, you're waiting on the next word? Who's waiting on the next word? If you present, sitting here just present, who's waiting on the next word to come out? The mind is waiting on the next word to come out because the mind is mind identified. It doesn't exist or have any relevance if there's no thoughts. It has nothing to play with. It has nothing to work with. It has nothing to create into a problem to solve. So the mind is waiting on you to think another thought. And in the space, it rushes to fill the vacuum with thoughts. Because you don't like the space. The mind does not like the space because it's irrelevant in space. The mind does not exist in space. So this is what's happening to you if you do the space meditation and it's not working for you. If it's not working, this is what's going on. You have to learn the mind is the culprit to your misery. If you are overwhelmed, if you are anxious, if you are thinking about the future, if you're thinking about the past, if you're wondering and worrying and thinking, that's the mind. It has nothing to do with you. So this is the essence of space meditation. Now, what's the benefits? If you continue to do space meditation on a regular, consistent basis, depending on how serious you are and committed you are, really depending on how much pain you're in, you will find that your mind becomes more spacious, more clear, more easygoing, more liberated, and things will be less significant and less important to you. You would care, but not that much, because you are in a completely different dimension of bliss and happiness that has nothing to do with the outside world. This is what the bliss of space gives you. It's really the bliss of being gives you, and this is Zen space meditation.